Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. Welcome to day one of the 5-day challenge, overcoming imposter syndrome so that you can confidently launch your program or your business with authenticity. Good morning, Lucinda. Thank you for joining me live. It feels like it's been an age since I put out the call to do the 5-day challenge. I don't know what it's been like for everyone else, but it's been a long time in the coming since I had the idea to actually getting going today. Has anyone else felt like that, or has it just been me? So while we wait for everyone else, let me know where you're tuning in from. Where are you watching this today? And also let me know if you're watching it live. And if you're watching the replay, then just comment with replay in there as well, so that I know that it's replay. And I know that not everyone can attend live. So welcome to those people as well. So if you don't know me, my name is Mary Bobokis. I'm a holistic business counsellor and a coach, and I primarily help other female counsellors and coaches and therapists who lack the confidence within their own skills or within themselves to own their expertise and to become that confident authority figure within their niche. And the reason that I'm so passionate about helping other women who have experienced this is because I too went through that myself. 6 years ago, when I started my business, when I left a full-time job to go out on my own, imposter syndrome really came up really quite strongly for me. And it also came up for me just recently at the beginning of the year when I changed my business model. And so I wanted to talk about this this week, because I want to help as many people as possible, as many women as possible to overcome this, because I know that it's overcomeable. Hey, Deepika, thanks for joining. I know that it's overcomeable, and that's why I wanted to talk you through some of the steps that you can take in order for you to overcome those imposter syndrome fears. And so that you can get your business out there, so that you can start talking about it with authenticity and not, faking it till you make it. I hear that quite a lot. I think that's really poor advice. I want you to be as authentic as possible and genuine, so that people resonate with you, and so that you can lead your life your way, with your rules, and not having to answer to anyone. Like, that was something that I didn't particularly enjoy doing. So we're going to go on a journey this week, and what we're going to cover is today we're going to be looking at how imposter syndrome is standing in the way of you becoming a confident authority figure or an expert within your niche, so that you can get out there, so you can start gaining some traction. Throughout the week, we're also going to be looking at how to identify the emotional source of your imposter syndrome, and most excitedly, how to manage that, so that you can manage your fears of getting out there, particularly, and actually launching your program or your business. We're also going to be looking at how to identify and eliminate your self-limiting, self-sabotaging beliefs. Again, how to manage that, how to overcome them, how to eliminate some of those beliefs, as I said before, so that you don't have to fake it till you make it. We're also going to be looking at some practical ways to dispute your imposter syndrome beliefs. so that you can become that confident authority in your niche, as I mentioned before. Things that even your ego can't dismiss. And we'll also, on the final day, looking at how to align with your soul's purpose, with your authentic voice, so that you're always working within your bigger mission. And that it also helps you to remain focused. It helps you to stay motivated and driven as well. So how does that all sound? Let me just get my notes in order. How does all that sound? Is that something that you're feeling particularly excited about? Hey, Tamara, thanks for joining us live today. I'm not sure what time of evening that is, what time that is at your neck of the woods. So I also wanted to mention that it's important, if you can, to show up live, because you can submit your questions, talk about your individual circumstances as well. Plus, throughout the week, I'm going to be choosing some of the beliefs that you submit, and we'll do an elimination process on one of those fears, one of those beliefs throughout the week. So if you want it to be one of your beliefs, then join live so you can submit them as we go along. Oh, great. We're getting some thumbs up about it looking like a good week. Excuse me. And I really encourage you to participate. You already are doing that, which is wonderful. I know that you will get much more out of it if you do participate than watching alone. And this is the first time that I'm running this training as a Facebook challenge. So please send me some love, send me some hearts, send me some encouragement. Let's pray that the technology works for us today. And so I know that you're with me today. Let's do this together. All right, because I know that you're all really busy, let's get straight into it. So the topic for today, as I mentioned, is how imposter syndrome is standing in the way of you becoming an confident authority figure in your niche, so that you can get yourself out there, you can start getting traction in your business as well. And so today we'll be looking at exactly what is imposter syndrome, how does it affect your life. We'll be looking at, what is the cost for you by not eliminating it. And finally, it might sound a bit odd, but should you actually be eliminating imposter syndrome from your life? Is this something that you actually need to be doing? So we'll get into all of that today. Hello, Emily. Thanks for joining live. Firstly, who knows what is imposter syndrome? Who actually has heard the term before? Who here knows what it actually means? If you've got some idea, then just comment in there saying, yep, kind of. If you know what it is, then let me know as well. Give you some time to comment there if you're with us. Look, there is a psychological definition behind this, and I won't bore you with that, but essentially what imposter syndrome is, in a nutshell, is lacking confidence within your own skills and feeling inadequate, despite the fact that you have successes, that you have achievements, that you actually have really good feedback, and you might even have some accolades. And despite all that, you're still feeling not confident with what you have to offer. And this generally comes along with that sense of dread, that fear, that worry that somebody is going to turn around and say to you, you don't know what you're doing. What are you talking about? You've got no idea. And questioning whether you're actually a fake or a fraud around that. So imposter syndrome encompasses those fears of being caught out or being found out to be a fraud, that you actually have no idea what you're doing. So does any of that resonate with you? Who here, and put in the comments so I know and so everyone else can see as well, who here has ever felt like this? Felt worried about what other people are thinking about them, and worried that going to look inadequate, and going to be found out to be a fraud in in some sense of the word, just comment in the comment box there, something like inadequate or fraud, or both even. Often these two things come together with imposter syndrome. I know for me, there's a few hands going up now. Definitely, Emily, this is something that happened for me as well. When I did my own process through this, I did actually feel, which surprised me, given that I had worked in counselling organisations for so many years, that I did fear that somebody one day was going to say, "What are you talking about, Mary? You have absolutely no idea what you're doing here. There's no way that you can help me. You actually are a fraud." And then the bigger fear of that was that they were then going to go and tell everyone, and that coming from a small community, that word was going to spread, and then I was going to get a bad reputation, and no one was going to come and see me, and I would never have any clients. So that's how how broad that fear went, that I just didn't think anyone would come and see me, which is not what happened, of course. But when I started out, that was what one of my fears were. And if you are watching this, look, I'm guessing that you have at times felt like this, because you would have seen the words and you would have thought, "Oh, hang on, does that apply to me?" Or maybe it does apply to me, and I want to know more. Hi, Carolyn. Thanks for joining live. And the reason that I would say that, there's a few people who've been interested in this is because I know through my experience, not just personally, but working with women, that it is actually very common with female counsellors, therapists, coaches, consultants, that they do have these fears. And especially when they're first starting out, or when they're wanting to grow and scale and build their business, and wanting to change their business model like I did earlier in the year. And even when they're looking at, who do I want to particularly work with? You might have worked with some audience for a particular time, and then you thought, what, I'm really passionate about this, and changing your direction, which is what happened with me. So I know that it is really common, and if you are here, then I'm going to guess that that's something that is resonating with you today. So let's have a look at then, how does imposter syndrome play out in your life, whether that's in business and whether it's personally. And instead of me just sitting here, just talking to you the whole time, I want to do this a little bit different. I'm going to describe this by asking you a series of questions, and I want you to think about what comes up for you when I do that. So you might want to close your eyes, you might want to grab your pen and paper or the worksheet that I sent to you, and just think about what's the first thing that pops up with you when I ask these questions. Okay, ready? Okay. The first question: how do you feel physically at the thought of marketing yourself and getting yourself out there? How does that feel in your body when you do that? What do you say to yourself when I say to you, you actually are an expert in your field? What do you think when I say that to you? And what reason do you give as to why you're not an expert in your field, which is what I imagine you would have said. I'm not an expert because I... And how do you feel? It's the first thing that comes up for you when I say to you, hey, Carolyn, hey, Emily, you need to double your prices. How does that feel for you? What comes up for you when I say that? And why? What is it that you say to yourself in those moments? What if I say to you, Lucinda, Deepika, you need to do some Facebook Lives. You need to go out there and talk to your target market about what you have to offer and the transformation that you offer people. What's your immediate gut response to that? And what if I said, hey, I've got a really wonderful opportunity for you to speak at one of my conferences and talk exactly to your target audience about their pain points and their struggles and how you have the solution to help them? How would you respond to that? Emily, yes, absolutely. Whoa, anxiety, massively, right? You know, I would imagine that ickiness in the stomach when you just go, oh my goodness, no, there's no way I can do that. You know, essentially, anytime when you get asked a question where you automatically think, oh, I can't do that, then that is when you know that imposter syndrome has kicked in, right? So how does that feel for you? You know, put some comments in the comment section there so that I know whether, you know, you're connecting with this, whether this is things that you are actually feeling, you know, the sickness in the stomach, the heaviness in the chest, or the, you know, the tension, the knots in the stomach, those sorts of things. You know, when I mentioned you're an expert and, you know, you've got what it takes, you know, did you say this of, yeah, right, good one, Mary. You know, I can do this, but I can't do that. You know, those sorts of things. And a lot of people say, you know what, there's so many other people out there who are much more experienced than me. You know, what do I have to offer? What, you know, what's so special about me? Who would want to buy from me? Doesn't everyone know what I'm talking about here? You know, doesn't everyone, this is just common sense, right? These are the sorts of things that we start to tell ourselves. And that's when you know that imposter syndrome has struck. You know, it's got its little tenterhooks in you when you're starting to say these things. However, you know, it does come up in more subtle ways that you might not be familiar with. So let's see if any of these resonate with you, because they certainly were for me. That when you have a long list of things, you've got a to-do list, you've planned everything out, and then you end up doing other things instead. I'll just, you know, I'll just have to put a load of washing on if you're like me and you work at home. I'll just have to clean my desk before I really get into it, so I've got a really good, clear headspace to do this. You know, things just really need to be perfect before I can get it out there. I just want to rewrite that sentence. I just want to tweak that a little bit. I really want to get a good handle on this before I actually, you know, do a Facebook post, or talk at a conference, or, you know, even ask the person who's standing in front of me, you know, do you think that you might be interested in working with me? I think, you know, we could work well together. You might start to ask other people for their opinions. You know, you've got this idea and you really want to get out there, but nobody is, that you're then checking with other people, looking at their approval, to see whether what your idea is okay, is it valid? That's fantastic, Deepika. Thanks for that. Even now, writing a comment, I feel like I should hold back in case it sounds silly. And that's a perfect example of that. Thank you for raising that. That's exactly what people think. And for you, Carolyn, I become busy doing other non-critical work, or go into learning. Yeah, and that's what I had on my list as well, where we think, oh, I've got to take another class. I've got to get that certificate under my belt. I've got to do a course in Facebook ads, or I've got to do another certificate for my coaching or for my counseling. And then that'll make me confident, right? Then I'll feel like I know what I'm doing. So these are subtle ways: the procrastination, the avoidance, doing other things instead. You know, I have every intention of getting to that list, but first I'm just going to do this. Surely I'm not the only one that's experienced that. So let's just take a moment now, you know, write down, if you've got your worksheet there, write down 3 things that how imposter syndrome plays out in your life. How does it actually get in the way for you getting yourself out there and getting your message across, or, you know, starting your business, changing your business model? There's time now as well in the comments box to let me know what your experience of that is as well. And it's really good for you to realize and become aware of this, so that when it does prop itself up, come up for you rather, than you are aware of it and you go, interesting, that procrastination has come up again. Perhaps imposter syndrome is rearing its ugly little head again for me here. So you need to be aware of that, because for the longest time I didn't realize that my avoidance and my procrastination, particularly underneath that, was a fear of what other people would do, and that held me back quite a lot. It has to be perfect. I'm just going to tweak this. I'm just going to change that, or rewrite a whole Facebook post, even though the other one was completed. You know, it wasn't perfect in my mind, so I didn't post it. You know, for many years there as well, I created whole workshops. I created worksheets that went along with them, and then I never advertised the workshop itself. It just, you know, just didn't have the time. It just, you know, wasn't able to quite get it out there. So that's when I realized, hang on, this is really getting in the way for me. So let's look at then, you know, these are not just things of how it's not just how it's getting in the way for you. It's really important when you're looking at changing this to be also considering what is the cost of this for me? How is this getting in the way? Yes, but what's the cost for me not achieving those things, or not doing that for myself, not getting myself out there? So let's take a moment to look at, you know, when you're second guessing yourself, when you're asking others for their opinion, when you're too scared, you know, to put up your hand, to make a comment, for instance, and wanting others to approve your business model or your plans, those sorts of things. What is the result of that? You know, you're actually not launching, you're not taking advantage of an opportunity that you have right now, and you end up remaining stuck. What about perfecting your program before you launch? You know, you're not following through of any of your plans, and you keep changing them like I did. And as a result, you spend so much time writing and rewriting and tweaking, being busy, and not really achieving a great deal. And that gets in the way. Not posting on social media, for instance, out of fear of what others might think, or fear, for me, I felt that I might be attacked in some way, that they were going to say these horrible things about me that weren't true. And as a result, you know, I'm not attracting anyone, because I'm not talking to anyone about my program or my business. You know, my clients just don't know. I simply don't exist to my clients, because they don't know that I'm out there and what I have to offer. And it might be exactly what they need, but they don't know about it. And also, I don't think I mentioned this before, but the fear of increasing your prices, or of not putting a price tag that represents exactly what you value, what you offer people, the value of what you offer people, the transformation that they will receive from the work that you do with them. And as a result, your clients are going great guns, but you are struggling financially. You don't have money to pay your bills or to buy really nice things for yourself or to provide for your family, for your kids. And as a result, you end up feeling really frustrated. I know for me, I particularly felt really caught between being frustrated and angry at myself and disappointed with myself for not taking action. And at the same time, I was craving the freedom that a thriving business would bring to my life, where I felt like I was living my soul's purpose as well. And these are just a few of the ways that imposter syndrome is holding back. So it's really important that you know for yourself, what is it costing you? And, some of the bigger financially, the bigger issues that, you have zero clients, as I said, but you are going to stay in the same place that you are right now if you don't do anything about it. In 6 months' time, in 12 months' time, you're going to be in exactly the same place. You might have even, if you're not moving forward, you might even give up on that dream of running your business. You might just pack it all in and think, oh, you know what, this isn't for me. I just can't do this. Yeah, I could probably do it. I've got the skills. I know I can help people, but it's in the too hard basket. And I don't want that for you. I don't want you to give up on your dreams. And you may have to get a second job. You might have to stay in a job that you don't like, that's dissatisfying. You might need to have a second job to supplement your income from your business, because, as I said, nobody knows about you. So how are they going to be one of your clients? Just reading the comments here. Yeah, I let the lack of results that I, haven't earned a particular amount of money tell me that I don't have enough credibility to coach in the area. Yeah, especially when you start comparing yourself to other people, that comparisonitis. Look how well they're doing, and I'm not doing so well, so I mustn't be good at my job. I must be pretty crap. And yes, you just need to take the plunge. Yeah, absolutely. And we know that, Caroline, but there's that part of us that just goes, I just can't do it. And that's what we're looking at this week, how to overcome that bit that, doesn't let us move forward, for sure. Avoiding, what's that, Lucinda? Definitely a procrastinator is a way of avoiding my fears. The main one being visibility. Yeah, being seen and what that brings for you. And, one of the other ways, obviously, is that we end up working so hard. We are busy being busy, as I mentioned, that we don't then have the time to spend with our family and friends, or to take a break and look after ourselves, and to really put self-care practices in place. I know for a fact in my first year, I was constantly working. I would work all day, I'd work all night. I would be anxious throughout the night. I wouldn't be able to sleep. I would then get up at 3 or 4 in the morning and write some notes, because I was so fearful I'd forget these wonderful ideas that I had. And then I'd get up in the morning and I'd do it all over again. And I just never had a break. And, people would say, hey, come out with us this weekend. I say, yeah, it just depends on how much I get done. And then I'll make a decision. And then obviously, with the rewriting and the tweaking and the lack of confidence, nothing ever was good enough. So then I'd keep working. And that was my life for a year. And as you can imagine, I burnt out. There's no way you can avoid burning out when you work like that. So that is, for me, another reason, another way that it cost me. It cost me my health. It cost me my mental, my physical health, emotionally as well. And I had to figure out a way to work smarter, not harder. And how do I talk to people about what do I do? One Facebook post every 6 months is not going to be enough to get myself out there and feeling confident as well. So lastly, what I want to talk about today is, how do you determine whether you need to eliminate imposter syndrome from your life? it might not be as straightforward as it sounds. And the reason that I say this is because, in my experience personally and as a counsellor, we often don't make the changes that we seek because staying the same, even though it's working against us, it is also working for us in some way to stay the same. Often there is a payoff. And if there wasn't a payoff to stay the same, we would have done something about it before now. So what do you think the payoff is for us? What do you think? How is it working for us to stay the same? What's your guess as to why we do that? I'm sure you know. Put it in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. Why do we stay the way that we are? Why aren't we then, we say, like we were talking about before, that you want to take the plunge, but what's the but? Why do we do that? Why is it holding us back? So, if you think about, why haven't you started your business yet? Why don't you raise your prices? Why haven't you gone on social media to talk about your program and your offers and your business? Why aren't you telling people that you are an expert in your niche? What is that holding? What is that? Why do we do that? What's the payoff there for us? Because there is a benefit to us staying the same, remaining stuck and not moving forward. As horrible as it feels, the reason that we do that is because we misguidedly think that it keeps us safe in some shape or form. Yeah, exactly. Stay within your comfort zone. Avoid the discomfort that comes with fear. Absolutely, Carolyn, that's perfect. It keeps us safe. We think that it's actually protecting us in some way to not do that. And yes, it is, that's the fear, right? If we didn't have the fear of feeling unsafe, then we would just go out and do it. So what is it keeping you safe from? Carolyn was mentioned one of those is the discomfort that comes with fear. We want to avoid that. Some of those things are that you don't want to face your fears. That brings up fear. It brings up pain. We don't want to take responsibility. That means we actually have to look at this and we have to do something about it. It feels unsafe. It feels risky to travel uncharted waters. We want to protect ourselves from feeling vulnerable, from feeling exposed, that we potentially are unable to protect ourselves. We don't want to feel the pain that you've already mentioned. Stepping outside of our comfort zone. It actually takes less effort, even though it's uncomfortable, to stay the same than it does to actually to make those changes. And for me, as I said, the fear was of being attacked, and that's really gotten in the way for me. And even recently, I was in another Facebook group just talking about imposter syndrome and fears, and a lady just started attacking me for no reason. There was no connection. She was trying to discredit me and said all these horrible things. And I knew that I had done nothing wrong, but I still felt all of it, the ickiness, and my stomach was churning. And I thought, what's happened? For that split second, I thought, what did I say that made her react like this? And so in the past, that would have really unraveled me. But working through the steps that I'm going to teach you this week, I've been able to push that aside. And, I'm doing a Facebook Live now. That's not gotten in the way of me getting myself out there. But fear of being attacked is one of the things that prevents us from getting out there. That's a protective mechanism for us. And also one of the other things is it's safe for us. We think that it keeps us safe from failure. And yeah, it will, of course. If you don't put yourself out there, then you can't fail in that respect. But it also protects us from or gets in the way from us succeeding as well. And we fear success. And often it's because our life is going to change when we succeed. There's no way about it. Your life is not going to stay the same if you do get yourself out there, if you do attract your ideal soulmate clients, if you do start attracting the right people for your program, and people start paying for your programs, and you raise your prices and you're getting paid for what you're worth, then your life is going to change, right? There's no way that it can't. And the fear around that sometimes is that our family and friends will think that we've changed, that we might not see eye to eye, or if we're, making 6-7 figure years, that people are going to think that we're up ourselves, and we've changed. They often say that you've changed, and we would have changed. So that's a protective mechanism there if you start to go deep with what's underneath that for you. So let me ask you once more, what is it for you? I want you to start to think about that and comment, write it down as well. What is the payoff for you for not doing these things? Even though part of you is craving for you to make the changes, to overcome imposter syndrome, to get yourself out there, to raise your prices, do your Facebook posts, create that website, get yourself out there. If I don't change, then I won't have to what? What is the thing, if there's one main thing that you can think of that you would avoid by not making those changes? What's that protective mechanism for you? And if you feel comfortable, because I know we're talking about, some deep things here, then share that in the comment section as well, so that I can see where you're at. And also so that other women can see that they're not alone in this, because we're not. The things that you're going to write down for yourself are things that I would have heard of, hundreds of times, that I wouldn't have already said to myself as well, and that other women are saying to me about that. Oh, good one. I just read that message. I've taken action before and it's not worked out. So if I don't change, then I won't fail again. That's beautiful. That's really great that you have that awareness, Carolyn, because now you can do something about that, right? Now you know what that fear is. So we can work on that. We can't work on something that we're not aware of, right? Fabulous. Okay, so naturally, the next thing that you want to ask yourself is, do I really want to eliminate this fear from my life? Yes or no? Often we say maybe, but if I force you to choose yes or no and put that in the comment box, I want to see some yes or no's here. Do I really want to eliminate my imposter syndrome fears from my life? Yes or no? Are you here just to get information, or are you actually ready yet? Are you ready right now to make those changes? Because if you are, obviously you're going to have to take responsibility for that. And then we want to know, you want to ask yourself, am I ready for that? We often are willing to make changes. We really want that. And as a counsellor, I always ask people, how ready are you? Between 0 and 10, how much do you really want to eliminate this from your life? And 10 being very much. And 0 being not at all. I'm seeing some yeses. Oh, definitely yes. Fabulous. You're in the right place. So think about now, between 0 and 10, how much do you want to eliminate this from your life? How ready are you right now? Yes, 100% ready is a 10. Yes, I'm 100% wanting to do this, and 0 being, no, I'm not quite ready yet, which is okay too. So I don't want you to think because you're not ready that there's something wrong with you. It's okay. You're just not ready yet. And so when you are ready, then great. You put these practices in place. you go and get some assistance. Oh, I've got some lots more yeses. Fantastic. So I distracted myself then. So yeah, sometimes we are willing, but we're not ready. And when I'm working with people one-on-one or with the group programs, I ask this right at the beginning, because I need to know where they're at, because I don't want to set them up for failure. It's not in their best interest for me or for themselves to keep pushing themselves and making these changes if they're not ready. And if anyone has ever tried to make any changes in their life, whether it's exercise or diet or stop smoking or whatever it is, then the only time that you're going to make those changes is when you're ready. So you don't want to do things when you're not. Just reading. So if I don't change, then I won't have that uncomfortable new feeling of not knowing what is expected. Beautiful. There is comfort in familiarity. Absolutely, Deepika. Absolutely. So, the unknown is scary. We don't know what's going to happen. And I like to tell people to think about all the positive things that could happen. Start to daydream about what could happen as a result, rather than thinking about, all of these bad things are going to happen. What are the positive things that can happen as a result of changing and getting out of your comfort zone there as well? And I talk further about the cycle of change, where you are in that cycle, how important it is to know where you are within it, because that will affect the deep change that you want to make in your life. I just don't have the time to go into that today. Maybe that can be another another training in the future. So lots to think about today, isn't there? Did you imagine that you needed to understand these things before you got into the business of making changes to your imposter syndrome? Did you, like a lot of people think, they make the decision, yep, I'm going to change, I'm not going to do that anymore, and I'm just going to jump straight into that without doing all the preparation first. So this is part of that preparation process, that cycle of change that I mentioned before. One of the stages is to prepare yourself and to know how ready you are, and that's your starting point, is there. So, wow, what a big day you've had already. And this brings us to the end of day one. I don't want to overwhelm you too much with all of those things, but it has been a big day for you. If you do the worksheet as well, take time to do that. Check your emails if you haven't received your worksheet. And, it's a big day of personal review and insight. So just to recap for today, we looked at what imposter syndrome was, that fear of being found out to be a fraud and feeling inadequate, lacking confidence despite having really good skills and despite having successes and really good feedback and, accolades, awards even. We looked at, how does it play out in your life? And, you can keep taking notes, when we finish. How does it affect your life particularly? Well, how does it play out in your life? And what is it costing you by not eliminating it? Why do you need to eliminate this? And also, should you eliminate this from your life? And that's up to you to determine. I can't make and I won't make that decision for you. That really lies with you. But if it is something that you want to do, make some changes, then come back tomorrow, where I will teach you what you need to do to start alleviating the hold that it has over you. We're going to look more at what the emotional source of imposter syndrome is. We talked about fear today, but there's some other ones, and what the true source is there for you, and how you're going to manage that, so that you can manage those fears and get get yourself out there, and actually launch your program, your business, or change your business model there as well. So one last thing before you go, you're part of the Facebook group. So I want you to, under the post, there'll be some posts there, probably in about 15 minutes or so, where you can share with the group, what is it costing you by not taking action on overcoming your imposter syndrome? And why do I need to eliminate this from my life? What would it give me? So I really encourage you to go into the Facebook group in a few minutes, fill out those forms, not the forms, the posts, encourage each other to share, nurture each other, be kind. I know pretty much everyone who's in the group, and I know that you're really caring, kind people. And so, as Deepika mentioned before, you can feel a bit scared to participate. Everyone here is going to benefit from what you have to say, and I truly encourage you to do that. So any final questions? Now's a really good time for you to throw out some questions for me. Anything from today that you want some clarity on, that you would prefer me to talk about today, rather than leave? Excuse me, I've had a cold all weekend, and now's a good time to do that. Otherwise, I'll see all of you lovely ladies tomorrow, where I'm going to be running through a technique on managing your emotions. And so it's really important that you turn up live so that you can submit, one of your fears, one of your emotional, what's the word I'm looking for? One of the things that are holding you back emotionally, and I can run through that live. So if you're around, then you can submit that as we do that, and you might be the lucky one that I choose. So you need to watch that live. So lovely ladies, that's it from me. I don't see any other further questions there, and I shall see you tomorrow. And don't forget to paste in the group. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this. I hope you have too. I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Oh, thank you, Carolyn. Thank you to you too. Bye, lovelies.